This story was sent to me a couple of days ago, and wow, this story is extremely wild. The details are creepy as hell, and it shows you that there are a lot of couples out there who engage in some very alternative activities that should definitely have them locked up for life. So in this picture, you see this couple. The woman's name is Zara Phythian, and this guy's name is Victor Marke. And they are both accused of sexually abusing a 13-year-old girl. Now, here's the interesting part about her. This woman was in the first Doctor Strange movie. And I thought it was interesting that they released this article around the release of the second Doctor Strange movie. Now, of course, by the time y'all get this video, the Doctor Strange movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will have already come out. But yeah, this story is crazy right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the details. And it's one thing that I was actually told about him that if it's not put in this article, I'm going to mention it at the end. It says Doctor Strange actor Zara Phythian and her husband Victor Marke are accused of grooming and having sex with a 13-year-old girl. Phythian, age 36, and I would not have pegged her as 36 because that means she's 3 years older than me. And Marke, age 59. Let me stop right there. He is 59, 1 year from 60, unless he's about to turn 60, and she's 36. Look at that age difference. This guy has literally been pining for her for a minute in order for him to really, end up marrying her. And from what I've heard, because I believe both of them are overseas, I think in the UK, according to what I've heard, the age of consent over there is 16, which lets me know he probably was messing with her at a very young age. Like, look at that age difference. That they're almost, he's almost twice her age. Almost, not exact, but almost. So when I hear that part, the part about the messing with the 13-year-old girl, doesn't surprise me. They said face 14 charges of sexual activity with a child in the United Kingdom. In a police interview played at Nottingham Crown Court, the BBC reported the woman alleged that the sexual abuse began in 2005 when she was 13 and continued until she was 15. Look how far back that is. 2005. That's a long time ago. And that means me and this person who's now grown, she's around the same age as me. Because in 2005, I was 16. And in that time, she was 13. So I had 2 years on her. So that means that she is 31 now. The woman who has not been publicly identified by officials and is in her late 20s. Okay, she's in her late 20s. My math was off. Testified in court Thursday. Phythian and Marke have denied the allegations. The couple and their representatives did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The woman looked up to Phythian, she said in the police interview, according to the BBC. I knew it was wrong, but I just didn't know how to get out of the situation or say anything, the woman said in the police interview. I remember trying to copy Zara's reaction at the time because I looked up to her and tried to be like her in any way. The woman alleges that the abuse began when Phythian provided her with alcohol and persuaded her to have oral sex with Marke. She testified that she felt as though Phythian coached her to get better at sexual activity, the Nottingham Post reported. In the police interview, the woman also said Marke threatened to harm her if she told anyone about the alleged abuse. The BBC reported. Phythian and Marke were not married at the time of the alleged abuse. Phythian was 20 or 21, and Marke would have been 42 or 43. Now catch that. They weren't even married when this was going on. They just happened to be together. But they did eventually end up getting married. How about that? I guess a couple that sleeps together creeps together. The Nottingham couple reported that the woman said in her testimony that she would not have come forward with the allegations if the police had not approached her first. I could never have made a report, she said. I would have died with my shame. Having a child of her own pushed her to speak out. At the time, I had just become a mom and had no option other than to speak my truth and never allow it to happen to anyone else again, she said. Phythian appeared in the 2016 Marvel film Doctor Strange as a minor character, and she has performed stunts in various movies and TV shows. She and her husband are martial arts instructors. Now, it's interesting that, like they said, she appeared as a minor character, because I'm thinking about, like, I saw Doctor Strange, and I'm trying to think, where did I see her at in this movie? Because if she wasn't like near or around Doctor Strange's character, or she wasn't around, the Ancient One or any of the other sorcerers in the temple, or around the villain, then I wouldn't have noticed her. But I found a picture of her character, and apparently she was one of the minions to the villain in that movie. I would not have remembered her. So they just kind of threw her in here that she was a Doctor Strange actor or actress. I guess to really push the headline out there, especially because they needed this story to really get put out there. So they didn't mention in here what one of my followers on Twitter has said, but I'm gonna read what they said, and I'm gonna actually quote them. And shout out to at Drella Drell on Twitter for sending this to me. He said, "This story is bananas. This dude allegedly did the same with another girl during his first marriage." So apparently this is not his first marriage with this woman. This is most likely a second marriage. He met Zara as a teenager in his 30s, which is her. So it wouldn't surprise, because remember, she would have to be in the teenage years if he was in his 30s, because they said when this happened, Zara was either in 20 or 21 and he was 42 or 43. So you're talking about a 10-year, more than 10-year difference. It said he met Zara as a teenager in his 30s, so it wouldn't surprise me if he waited until she was 16, which is the age of consent over here, before dealing with her behind his wife's back. This is some creepy stuff right here. It really is. Now, right now, they said that they're just accused of doing this. They don't know if they actually did or if they didn't. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because like I said, a couple that sleeps together will creep together. You never know. You never know what the activities people are involved in and involved with. Especially when they think or feel that nobody is looking or watching them. But if this is true, what is being alleged for these two right here, they need to lock both their asses up for a very, very long time. Because that just shows that this guy, he has no discipline over, he has no sexual discipline, for starters. He definitely has a type. Like, look at it. That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, because look at how old he is and look at how young she is. And when they started doing what was alleged, he was in his early 40s and she was in her early 20s. We're talking about almost twice their age. Like, he's old enough to be her dad. And then the fact that this woman, who is now grown, came out and said that they started doing this when she was 13. And you look at the person that he's married to and how old she is and how young she is compared to him. He has a type. He likes going after relatively young women or young females. And finding out the age of consent over there is 16. And that's across the board over there in the UK. Not just in certain places. You know how some places in the States, you might have 16 and 17 and the rest is 18. No, over there it just sounds like it's flat out just 16. So when you put all that together, I would not be surprised if what alleged is actually true. And she is no better because she allowed it to happen, and she apparently allegedly also engaged with it. So this guy is like a groomer. It's like he groomed her, and then they were trying to groom somebody else. Now, I wonder what's the story behind his first marriage. Like, how old was his first wife? Were they close in age, or was there an age gap there too? Because I swear, if I found out there was an age gap between him and his first wife, yeah, this guy definitely is a creep. He definitely has a type for very, very, very young females who are impressionable. And that's basically how groomers are. Like, they go after young people whose minds are not fully developed, and they, put their impressions on them, and then they got them. And they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Because see, the thing is, he could not do this with someone around his age. So he has to go after those he feel that he can work his little magic on, so to speak. And ironically, I use the word magic, and they said she's an actor. She was an actress in Doctor Strange. Go figure. But that is my take on it. It's a good thing that I didn't upload this video as fast as I possibly could. And you want to know what's so interesting is that I recorded the first part of this video before what you're hearing right now, probably a week before I went on my trip to LA. I think it was. I think I recorded the first part right then because this is when that first part of the story was reported. And now I'm recording this next part a week after I get back from my trip because there's a new update that has just come out surrounding Zara Phythian and her husband. So the first part y'all already know, but this next part right here says that both of them have been convicted of multiple counts of child sex abuse. And this article was posted May 11th, 2022. And I'm recording this part that you're hearing right now on May 12th, 2022, a day later. And I'm going to go ahead and read it. And it's coming from Entertainment Weekly. It says Doctor Strange actress Zara Phythian and her husband Victor Marke have been convicted of multiple charges of child sex abuse in a British court, according to a document provided to EW by the Nottingham Crown Court clerk. 37-year-old Phythian, who was tried under the name Zara Marke, was convicted of 14 counts, with her 59-year-old husband convicted of 18. The counts for Phythian all relate to sexual activity with a child that occurred between December 2005 and December 2008. She is named alongside Marke in all of her charges, though he is individually included on 4 additional indecent assault charges for actions dating back to September 2002. As an individual, Marke's offense include indecent assault of a 15-year-old victim, while both were convicted of multiple counts of sexual activity with another underage victim beginning when she was 13. Their actions span multiple years and repeated occasions involving the same victim. Phythian, who has 24 credits listed on IMDb, the most notable being a small role in the 2016 Doctor Strange blockbuster opposite Benedict Cumberbatch as a brunette zealot. She does not appear in the sequel Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Per BBC reporting, Marke claimed that the sexual activity occurred on only one occasion and that Phythian was not involved alongside him. Phythian reportedly denied any sexual activity with one of the victims. The fact that he even said that it only occurred one time, one, I don't believe it. And two, what does it matter that it occurred one time? The fact is that it happened at all when it shouldn't have. Judge Mark Watson remanded the couple into custody following the trial ahead of their May 16th sentencing. Both of the sentence I passed on 16th of May is likely to be measured by a considerable period of custody, he said at the trial. Nicole Hepburn from the Crown Prosecution Service said that Phythian and Marke were exposed as the true liars in the case after the victims initially reported the pair years after the abuse began. This abuse may have occurred some years ago, but that makes it no less serious, and nor is it a barrier to justice. Hepburn continued, which she actually has a factual statement on that. I would encourage anyone who has been abused in the past to come forward with the knowledge that the CPS will take your case seriously. And you want to know what's even more interesting? The person who sent me, who sent me this article. I think it was Chill Texas who said that it's interesting that they typed Doctor Strange into like YouTube or the Google search, and there's really nothing coming up about them. And it wouldn't. The only thing that will come up about Doctor Strange right now is anything related to the movie that just came out last week. So I could understand that. So you would have to type certain words, like you would have to type her name more, in particular her name, because they're pushing her more out there because she's the one that's more, quote unquote, if you want to call it that, notable. So you would have to break it down even further. But you don't see a lot of people really making commentaries talking about this. I really haven't seen anybody talk about this outside of myself. And I'm not saying that I'm the only one on YouTube that's talking about it, but I'm just saying there's not many in droves that's talking about it. And that's very interesting, and it's not shocking either. But yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. They said their sentencing is on May 16th, which is right around the corner. It's in a few days. We'll see what kind of sentencing these two will actually receive.